Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel today. So this is Amen Clothing YouTube channel where we teach you how to use patterns to create unlimited designs. I made this outfit from leftover fabrics that I had from other works that I did. So if that's what you're interested in learning how to do, then subscribe and keep watching to the end. If you're interested in the flare part of it, then you want to fast forward this video to get to that part. But if you're interested in watching everything, then let's get straight to it, okay? So firstly, you're going to be needing your basic bodice front. Your basic bodice front, you'll be needing it in full with all your darts in place. The reason why you need it in full is so you can see what you're actually doing. Okay. Now I'm going to be working on my neckline. I do not want to have so I'm going to be working on my neckline. Okay. Now I'm going to be taking out 1 inch from my basic neckline because I do not want the neckline to be on the basic. I'm going to have to remove 1 inch from my basic neckline. Okay, you can decide to leave it at the basic or you remove half an inch, but I went ahead to remove 1 inch at my basic neckline. And also I'm going to decide where I want my overlap to stop. That part I'm marking now is my center, so I know where my overlap is going to be stopping. And I'm kind of making a rough sketch to know where I want it to stop, where the overlap is going to be overlapping each other. So I decided I'm going to be using somewhere around that area. Okay, so then I'm going ahead to do this now. You can decide on whichever way. You can decide that yours is going to be stopping at the very end of your front basic bodies, but then I decided that mine is going to be stopping at that area. Okay, just the techniques are the same. Wherever you want it to stop, the technique I'm going to show you in this video, they are all the same. Okay, so wherever yours is going to stop, the techniques, they are all the same. This is optional. This is where I chose mine to stop. So I decided I was going to be stopping at this very that area. Okay, and I haven't done that now. This is what I'm having. I'll be using my scissors to cut this out like so. So we're going to be working on this very part. So I found out that it's easier for me to work on this part, is that the left, than on the right. Either ways. So I decided to tape it back and redraw my neckline or that very overlap design at this other part. So I'm comfortable working on my pattern. Okay. So I've redrawn it on the other side. So I'm comfortable working on that part. I went ahead to cut it out. It's same thing that we did on the other side. Just that I wanted to use this side because I'm comfortable. You can use whichever side you want to. So now bear it in mind that we have all these darts here. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is, you see this very part that is slanting. If you watch so many persons when they make their overlap dress or top, that part is always gapping. So if you do not want it to gap, you have to contour that very part of the neckline. And that is the neckline contour guide. Okay, sorry, it's the neckline contour guide. Yes, so we are going to be contouring our neckline so that part does not gap. And in order to do this, I had to bring my pattern together to form a hole like it was before. And then I went ahead to draw out my contour darts. What you have to do is you draw a line to any portion of your neckline and then you mark half an inch as your dart. Okay, you mark half an inch as your dart and then you draw the line back to your bust point. Okay, so now the dart is there. I actually do not like using markers because the tip is bold. I think I have to be. So many of you complained that you don't see what I'm writing with the pen, and I started using markers. But marker is not my thing because the tip is actually very bold. But it's fine. So I'm here ruling out the darts. All these parts that you're seeing dotted or lines that are not neat, they're actually darts, and you need darts to form your drapes so you can have a very nice fit. So I haven't done that. This is what I'm going ahead to open up all the darts and close them. Okay, if you've been coming to my channel, you should get used to me saying open up that and close that. So I'm going ahead to open up the darts and close it. And if you're new here, do not worry, you're going to flow. Okay, so I've opened my waist dart and my side bust dart. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'll go ahead to close one of these darts, so you can decide. I've closed my waist dart and opened it at the side bust. Okay, I closed my waist dart and opened it at the side bust. So now the contour neckline guide, I'm going to be opening it up also. That dart, I'll open it up and of course close it to open it at my side bust dart. You see, now I'm gonna have to close up two darts and open them at my side bust dart. And of course, I'll go ahead to close up my side bust dart. I'm closing up darts before doing this whole slash and spread so I can get where my exact lines are gonna be falling in. If I draw the lines, I found out that whenever I draw the lines, when the darts are in place, by the time I start opening the darts, the lines break. So I decided to close up the darts before drawing in the lines so I can see exactly what I'm working with. Okay, so now this is what it looks like. This is what the pattern looks like. Okay, and of course, remember that part is a dart from the other side, which is not necessary. We're just going to be cutting it out. If you decide to close it, you're still not going to see it, so we're taking it out. So now I'm going ahead to draw in my star lines. As you can see, it has formed that shape of a bust, okay, that feminine shape. I'm going to have to draw in my star lines. You want to draw a star line that will intersect that point of your bust point. So this pattern lays flat. We are working on a flat pattern. So no matter how many lines you're drawing, you want to draw a line that is going to intercept that point. So when you cut open, your pattern will lay flat. You get it now? So no matter how many lines you're drawing, make sure you draw a line that's going to intercept that point. So when you cut your pattern, it's going to lay flat. So I'm going ahead to draw in my lines. The lines are, it's not a standard. You can draw as many as you want, but don't do much so you don't get confused. Okay. It's simple, you leave it to be minimal. It's okay, you leave it to be minimal. So I'm going to have to open up my lines now. So I'm going to have to cut all the lines. You cut to and not through. You cut to the very tip, but you're not cutting it open. So I measured this very part of that dart that we cut out, and it was 1.5 inch. Write it somewhere and keep it in mind. So I haven't done that now. We are going to be opening up this. We're going to be opening up these lines or adding fullness on a fresh pattern. Okay, that's how we're going to be forming our pleats. We're going to be forming the pleats like so. If you've been following my channel, you should get used to this whole thing. But if you're new here, like I always say, do not worry, you're going to flow. So now I'm trying to adjust my patterns. Trying to adjust my patterns like so. Now for the slash and spread, I eyeballed it. I didn't use a specific measurement. I kind of eyeballed it. But you don't want it to be so wide. You just need something like, we just need a touch of drapes. It's not like we want so much pleats. We just need a touch of drapes on that upper part, you know. So you're not going to be opening so much. Then I went ahead to open it up like so. You want to lay it flat. As you're opening it up, you want to lay it flat. So after I was done laying it down, I had to start folding it up to come back to the way it was. Like I had to start folding this back to return this pattern to its original state. If you don't do that and you cut now, you find out that you're cutting out some important parts of this very particular pattern. So you have to fold it back to bring it back to its exact state, to its original state, sorry, before you cut off the excess of the paper. So that is what I'm doing right now. I'm folding from downwards all the way upwards. So I keep folding from down all the way up. Okay. Basically, we are trying to return the pattern to its original state. That's what we're doing. So it's not rocket science. We're trying to return the pattern to its original state. I think if I say it that way, you understand. So when you're doing it, you don't feel pressurized like, what did she actually do? You're returning the pattern back to the way it was before you slashed and spreaded it. So that's what we're doing. Then I'm trying to do this. And while you fold, you tape it down. You use your tape to hold it down so it does not open up. And this is it, back to its original state. I'm using my marker to align it. Okay. Now we know where to cut off. We know the excess to cut out. And of course, we have to let them go. So when I'm done cutting out the excess, I'll go ahead to open up this pattern. I'll go ahead to open it up. I'll remove the tapes that I used in holding those pleats down or those drapes down. Please, you don't want to cut it out. Remove the tapes gradually to come out, okay? remove the tapes gradually. So I went ahead to open it up, and this is what it looks like. So I've opened it up, and this is what it looks like. And this is what your front pattern should look like. You're cutting this you're cutting this in two. You're going to be having two pieces of this for your front. And the back is just your basic back. Okay, with your darts. That's all. The back is the basic back with your dart. But for the front, this is what you should be having in two. And please do not discard this pattern until you are done sewing. It's going to help you while sewing to know where you're to fold in. Okay, please do not discard this pattern until you are done sewing. So let's head over to the flare part of it. Let's head over to the flare part of it. You'll be needing a paper, your pattern paper, of course. Now I'm going ahead to do this from the scratch. I don't always do this, but for this video, I felt the need to do it from the scratch. I started from my waist measurement, which is 16 inches. Then I took my tape and measured where I want the length of my gown to be. Okay. I measured where I want the length of my gown to be. And since I have that now, I'll go ahead to input other measurements. So I use my ruler to rule a line on that line where it's going to be the full length of my dress or my hem. Okay. Now I'm going to be imputing my darts, or how do I put my bust apart measurement, of course. And then I came down to mark my hip measurements. Also, I'm going to be ruling a horizontal line. Horizontal, vertical, I always misuse these words. Going to be ruling a line across, and also mark my bust about measurements on that line. Now I'm going to be connecting these two lines together, these two dots together. Then I'm going to be marking my dart, half an inch on both sides, and bring it down by 4.5 inches, and I'll connect it like so. So now I'm going to impute my waistline measurement. I'm going to be imputing my waistline measurement, okay? Whatever yours is, you impute it. So I'm going to have to impute my waistline measurement. Be sure you add the 1 inch dart. For the hip also, I'm going to be imputing my hip measurement. And my hemline is going to be having the measurement of my hip. It's not a pencil, whatever. I know it's my basic bodice, but I decided that my hemline is going to be having the measurement of my hip, since I'm also going to be making it a flare to add to the fullness, okay? So my ruler, I'm going to be joining the dotted lines like so. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do want to subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up. Thank you. And so I'll be joining the dotted lines together. So basically, this is what a basic skirt looks like, not pencil. Think a basic skirt here, but not pencil. If you want it to be pencil, you have to reduce the measurement of your hemline. So having removed the excess part now, we're going to have to extend the bust about measurement all the way to the hemline, because now we want to start adding fullness. So I'm going to have to extend my bust about measurement all the way down. And I marked the lines. I dotted the points. I'm going to be joining it with my ruler. So having done this now, the next thing is we're going to be eliminating that dart. Firstly, I had to remove that guideline. That was the guideline I used, so it's nothing. You just have to cut it off. So now we are going to be eliminating this dart. Firstly, we are going to be opening up the dart to remove it entirely. Now you're going to be cutting on that line of your bust about measurement all the way to the point where the dart started. You want to cut to the tip of where the dart started. Like you want to form a pivot. Okay, so you can close this up and you open it up at the hem. And this other part, I'll use my tape now and hold that part. I've closed up the dart like so. So after that, we'll go ahead to draw other style lines. Now these style lines is depending on how much flare you want. If you do not want to do much, for an A line, you just have to leave it like this. But if you want to add more fullness, then you have to draw more lines. Initially, I wanted to leave it this way, but I decided that I noticed my fabric was light. And so I decided to add more lines so it can kind of have weight, and the flare is more, pointy. So I'm going to be drawing in more lines. So I've drawn in more lines and I'll go ahead to start cutting open those lines. So I'm going to be cutting these lines open. And when I'm done cutting it open, I'll spread it out on a fresh pattern paper. So now I've spread it out on a fresh pattern paper. Please, I have a tutorial where I taught how to make flare skirts. If you want to see that, it's very detailed. Then leave a comment in the comment section and I'll drop the link. I also marked the lines. This part of the lines where I added papers are the lines where I'm going to be joining the color combination. Okay. So you want to mark that line. So when you cut, you have your exact measurements. That's why I had to add papers there to make sure that when I cut, those things are still intact. So let's head straight to the sewing. Now, this is what the upper part of it looks like. I'm going to be joining this one like so. Remember the 1.5 inch I said you should keep in mind. That's the length of that very part. So you're going to be holding it down like so on this very part. Okay. And this is actually the lower part of it after I've joined the three colors together. Tell me what you think about this tutorial and I'll see you in the next video. Do have a lovely day. Bye.